You've been grading yourself against rules that were written for a country that doesn't exist anymore. In 1985, rent took about 18% of median income. Today, it's closer to 33%, and in a lot of cities, it's north of 50%. The 30% rule didn't get harder. The economy moved. The rules didn't. I'm a former bank analyst. I got laid off in 2008 doing everything right while the people who wrote the fine print kept their bonuses. Since then, I've made it my job to read what they're hoping you won't. Today, I'm putting the most repeated financial advice in America, 50-30-20, invest 15%, the baby steps, against actual median income math. And I'm going to show you why failing these rules isn't a discipline problem, it's a design problem. Then we're going to build something that actually works. Let's do the 50-30-20 rule in 20 seconds of math, using real 2025 numbers. Median individual income in the U.S. is about $51,370 a year. For a single person, that's roughly $3,450 to $3,500 a month take-home, depending on your state and benefits. The rule says needs are 50%, so you get about $1,727 a month for needs. National average rent in 2025 is around $1,636. That leaves you about $91. $91 for electricity, water, internet, food, gas or transit, car insurance, health insurance, prescriptions, all the boring stuff you need to stay employed and alive. So if you can't make 50-30-20 work, that's not a discipline problem, it's a price problem. The rule is basically a housing affordability chart pretending to be budgeting advice. And if you keep grading yourself against it, you're not learning control, you're practicing shame. These money rules didn't get harder. The country underneath them changed. From 1985 to 2020, rent went up about 149%. Income went up about 35%. Same people, same work ethic, totally different math. From 2000 to 2022, rents grew about 6 times faster than real median household income. If you felt like you're running faster just to stay in place, that's not a mindset issue, that's the ratio. Today, the national rent-to-income number is around 32.8%, and national is the part they say out loud. Almost half of renter households are over 30%, and more than 12 million are over 50%. That's not a budget, that's triage. Now the receipts. 50-30-20 comes from a 2005 book, All You're Worth, Different Cost World. And that famous 30% for housing rule, it's not physics, it's policy. The Brooke Amendment in 1969 set 25% for public housing. Congress bumped it to 30% in 1981. Administrative line, not a law of nature. My dad bought a house in Columbus in the 80s on a union machinist paycheck. Mortgage under 25% of his income. I grew up thinking that's just how America works. So when these rules don't fit your life, you're not failing the rules. You're living in a different America than the one they were written for. Now the other sacred rule. Build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund first, then invest 15%. That's baby steps logic. Early 1990s, same script, different prices. On a median take-home of about $3,450 a month, 15% is roughly $520. Every month. Consistently. That's not ambitious for a lot of people. It's imaginary. Because the stuff those rules gloss over is what actually eats your paycheck. Utilities average around $412 a month, and once you add internet and phone, you're closer to $590. Car insurance is often $175 to $220. And if you own a car, total ownership costs run about $12,295 a year. That's about $1,025 a month, before gas price drama, before repairs, before groceries. So when 59% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency from savings and 24% have zero emergency savings, that's not a character flaw. That's cash flow math. And here's the trap. First build a big emergency fund becomes an investment prevention program. Because first never ends. Meanwhile, inflation runs, fees nibble, and the average credit card APR sits around 22.30%, quietly charging you tuition every month you're stuck in preparation. Here's the part nobody puts in the cute budget rules. Being broke has a subscription fee. Overdraft and NSF fees aren't oops fees, they're a business line. In 2024, banks pulled about $12.1 billion from overdraft and NSF. JP Morgan alone, $1.028 billion. That's not a mistake, that's product market fit. And even if you never overdraft, the average checking account maintenance fee is about $13.95 a month as of January 2026. You're paying rent to access your own money. Then, if you're underbanked, 24.2 million households are, you get routed into the expensive lane. Payday loans are effectively around 400% APR. Check cashing takes 3 to 10% of your paycheck, a fee on your labor. Insurance does it too. On average, poor credit pays about 115% more for auto insurance than excellent credit. Home can be 72% to 100% more. Miss a policy for 60 days and the lapse penalty averages about $207 more per year. After my layoff in 2008, I ate 3 overdraft fees in 1 month. $105 for nothing, just my timing being off by 2 days. You don't forget that. This is the point. Broke isn't a state, it's a fee ecosystem. Your bottleneck is a product. If you only optimize the budget but don't kill fees and penalties, you're sprinting on a treadmill with an incline. And I'm betting you've got your own version of this. The fee that hit you when you could least afford it. Overdraft, late fee, some fine print. Drop it in the comments, not to complain, but so people see they're not the only one getting taxed this way. Before we talk about investing, I want to grab 2 piles of money you're already earning. You're just not keeping them. Pile 1 is your tax refund. About 68 to 77% of people get one, and Treasury estimates roughly 75% are over-withheld. The average refund in 2025 is about $3,167. That's not a bonus. That's about $264 a month you didn't have in your cash flow because you loaned it to the government at 0% interest. Total refunds in 2025, $253 billion. Action is simple. Redo your W-4 using the IRS withholding estimator. Aim for close to 0, not a big check. Then auto-move that freed-up monthly amount into a high-yield savings account, up to around 5% APY, instead of the 0.01 to 0.39% a lot of big banks still pay. Pile 2 is your 401k match. Most matches land around 4 to 6%. Average employer contribution is about 4.7%, and about 88% of people with a plan get a match. Contribute just enough to get the full match. That match portion is an instant 100% return. After that, if cash flow is on fire, you're allowed to pause. Dana's been teaching for 15 years. The first 5 she didn't take the full match. Nobody explained it, just left the money on the table. This isn't a savings hack, it's your money, stop leaking it. If that just put a few $100s back into your year, and you want more of this kind of digging, subscribe and hit like. It costs you nothing. It keeps me doing this. Now we build a system that fits real numbers. Forget guru percentages. Build rules that match your numbers in the order that actually moves the needle. Layer 1 is stability. Kill fees and penalties. Opt out of overdraft. Set low balance alerts. Keep a tiny buffer in checking. The average overdraft hit is $26.77 per incident, and they stack fast. If your bank charges a maintenance fee, replace the bank. Same job, fewer parasites. And don't let insurance lapse. Set autopay or reminders, because one missed window can raise your price for a year. Layer 2 is cash flow. Fix your withholding so your money shows up monthly, not as a refund lottery. Then make a HYSA your default parking spot for every free dollar. Mini rule if you're already in a hole. If you're carrying a credit card balance at 22.30% APR, and 47% of cardholders are, do 401k up to the match, then attack the card. That 22% is a guaranteed negative return. Layer 3 is wealth in the small. Roth IRA, even $50 to $100 a month. 30 years at 7% is roughly $61,000 to $122,000. Automated on payday. I drive a used F-150 I paid cash for. Took years. No loan, no interest, no stress. That's the whole system. Not optimal. Functional. Consistency beats perfect percentages. The finance industry doesn't make its real money on the person who has everything on autopilot. It makes money on the person who feels behind, on the person who's tired, on the person who's a little confused and just wants it to stop. Overdraft fees, late fees, premium products for bad credit, insurance pricing that punishes you twice for one mistake. None of that is an accident. It's a business model built around your bottleneck. The more chaotic your cash flow is, the more valuable you are to somebody. And the rules you've been using to judge yourself? A lot of them were written for a cost landscape that doesn't exist anymore. They didn't get updated because confusion is profitable. If you think you're failing, you keep shopping for fixes. Stop grading yourself against percentage rules like they're morality. Run your own numbers. Build your own system. The one that works on your paycheck, in your zip code, in your life, not in a book from 2005. Every Sunday I call my dad. He never taught me how to invest. But he taught me not to trust people who make money off your confusion. This channel is my version of that lesson.